So, Michael, my best guess is for episode 0 here, we're going to talk about aliens and mystery meat. That's my guess. You?
I was thinking like egg prices and I don't know, the price of corn. I really don't know. This is one of those things we're going in the blind.
Yes, we are. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mike. I am Dan. Okay, everybody, as I just said, he's Mike, I'm Dan, this is In the Blind, and it's called that for a reason. We have absolutely zero idea what we're going to talk about tonight. That is the shtick for this show. It is brought to us by our off-camera producer, Beth. She has 2 topics lined up for us. So we're going to have 20 minutes to debate each one of those or talk them out or whatever it is. I don't even know what we're going to do with it because I don't know what the topic is. And then we have a lightning round afterwards, which we'll explain when we get to it because it's kind of cool and special. So you want to tell us what we're talking about, Bethy?
All right. Are you ready, boys?
No.
Yes. Well,
okay.
Ready as I
we're
could
already
be.
Disagreeing.
This is good.
All right. Elon Musk has said in reference to Neuralink, if you can't beat him, join him, focusing on the societal, environmental, and political implications. Are brain-computer interfaces inevitable progress, or are we crossing a line where innovation becomes coercion and humanity starts playing God? And does joining them actually preserve freedom, or does it simply delay losing it?
Okay, so you're starting us out with a softball here today.
Exactly.
Not egg prices.
Nope.
Oh, well, that kind of has to do with aliens, I suppose, because that's what we're going to turn into if we actually integrate with the machine. From the man of faith, God-fearing standpoint, that if you've followed me on TCF long enough, you know that I live. I'm not a fan. I can see some practical use for Neuralink if it can get those who have like spinal injuries and stuff to be mobile and to be able to walk again and things like that. But if you want it just so you can open up 55 windows of 55 windows of Asian porn right in your mind, I think we have a problem. What do you think, Mike?
First of all, it should be like Latina porn. Thank you. But second, the real issue here is, first of all, I have no problem with Neuralink in a very limited scope. Like, for example, this show is called In the Blind because we don't know what we're talking about. But also, part of it is I'm a blind guy. Well, legally blind guy. I think for people with visual disabilities or for maybe hearing loss or other things that there's some kind of connection issue with the brain, I think this could be a great thing. I have no problem with that part. I will agree, however, that turning this into basically the Matrix, it definitely scares me. This is just like when, 30, 40 years ago, the debate about genetics was there and creating the perfect person and whatever perfect person meant. And we got into the eugenics and it kind of had that flavor of, the perfect race and all that sort of thing. This is kind of that in a completely different way. Like we're going to engineer the perfect brain. We're all going to turn into these automatons. So from that standpoint, I don't know if the negatives outweigh the positives on this. I can see a good use for it. I can make a great case for it. I cannot necessarily justify it completely because the other problem is, because we're human beings, anything that starts out with good intentions always winds up being used for evil, or for just turning our brains into nothing but you porn.
That's
ultimately
run to with it.
Well, I mean, why does let's be quite candid about it. I mean, we joke about it, but porn is one of the reasons that things evolve the way it does. And
That's
that
the
and
reason VHS won over Beta.
right. Yep. It was the cheaper, it was the Beta was actually a better product in terms of quality at the time. But VHS is cheaper. And the distribution of all of that was much more reliant on cheap. So again, I mean, I almost hate to say that I mostly agree with you, Dan, but I mostly agree. Again, I see limited cases where it's very useful, and I hope it does happen. Bionics and all that sort of thing. We've talked about that for years, and virtual reality helping people, but I think this is maybe a bridge too far.
I think so too. I mean, I know what Elon says, and he says it's a beat him or join him. I think you even read that.
Yes.
Yeah.
His quote is, if you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah. And I can understand where he's coming from there, because I think that AI is inevitable, and at some point it's going to become more and more controlling over us. It might already be there. One of the things that is constantly bandied about that I tend to agree with is that the government and the military tends to have things that are 10 to 20 years ahead of what we get.
Yes.
So it does make you wonder what this thing is really capable of, because it has to be more than what we're seeing. So, and if Elon has seen that, and he he probably helped develop it, but
well, he has high level clearance still.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he's seen it, then he might be speaking from a point of fact, at least in his mind, of where we're going to have to join with this thing or we're going to be eliminated. But I think at that point, we cease being human, because one of the things that makes us is our individuality. There are no two of us that are the same. We all have different hopes, dreams, likes, all of these things. But if you combine us with a machine, the next thing that happens is we become a hive mind.
Yeah.
And, the Borg is really cool on Star Trek. I don't think it's super cool for real life.
It wasn't super cool on Stranger Things.
No.
Yeah.
Hive mind did not work on Stranger Things either. That's a very good point.
Oh.
So
what about environmental implications?
Well, if the machine takes us over and we become Neuralink, then I believe we're walking down the Matrix version of the future at that point, and we're all batteries. So that might be better for the environment at that point.
I wonder, how much power is this going to consume? Yeah, we're going to basically all turn into AI slop. That's eventually what's going to happen. They're just going to beam advertising right into our brains. This is, to me, I'm trying to think of the positive sides of this and how this can help beyond just disabilities, or help people beyond, cognitive issues and late stage cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, all that. I mean, I'm sure we could help with all of that. That's all great. I'm really trying here, but beyond that, I'm still struggling. And the whole if you can't beat them, join them thing, I don't know if I like that quote either, because from a business standpoint, yeah, sure, that's fine. But from a society standpoint, what that creates is a race to the bottom. I mean, and we already have enough of that going on elsewhere. I don't think we need that from from the richest guy in the world either. And, again, well intended, but that's how the road to hell is paved.
Oh, yeah.
And as for AI, by the way, just a side. So here's how AI is already evolved and is taking away from humanity. It's funny that this is even brought up at all, because my brother sends me a text last night that one of the radio stations here in Phoenix just changed formats, and they went to an alternative rock format, and the station is all the jocks, the personalities are all AI. It is the first station in the country to do that. And as somebody, in the broadcast biz for many years, kind of on the periphery of the broadcast biz, I think that's we were already in the death spiral. That is the beginning of the end of everything for the radio biz, which it was already, in the prepper. So
honestly, you might be talking about the end of the YouTube biz here as well, because I was thinking as you were talking, you brought up that we were all going to be AI slop. My whole shtick on YouTube is I am not AI slop. I'm like a real walking, talking human being. That's a frightening way to put it in my mind. And
yes,
the whole thing about race to the bottom, that's incredibly true. And for me also, I hate to be Captain Negative here, but I'm going to be anyways. Is it even right for us to use this kind of technology to quote unquote fix people? I know you can make the case for it, but I've got to ask the question, just because you can do something, should you do something?
Right.
Is there a point where it's wrong to play God? Is there a point where you just have to accept your lot in life? Because everybody's going to have obstacles. And yes, some of them are more difficult than others. And I speak as somebody who's got a family member who has lived almost her entire life in a wheelchair. So I get from watching this happen within our family that different disabilities, they're definitely life changing for sure. But she has also led an incredible life. She's in her 60s now. She was paralyzed at 16, I think, 15 maybe, in a gymnastics accident. But she's lived well. Should we just accept what we have and just learn to live well with it, and say no to this sort of thing? Because what are you giving up? Is the ability to walk, or the ability to be more cognitively aware, or whatever the case may be, whatever the Neuralink's going to fix for you, is that worth your humanity? Because I think that's what gets taken away.
Right. We're not talking about. Yeah, we're not talking about the debate over stem cells, and I think that was mostly a positive. And now we use stem cells, and we use either embryonic or adult stem cells or whatever. I mean, I think there's a case. I know people said, well, that was the end of society and that's the end of humanity, but I think there's a huge mega difference between that and Neuralink. Especially because
one is actually biological, the other is a computer.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. One is our own cells or cells of other humans still being integrated. This is a computer. And, well, we all know what people can do with computers and hacking. And I mean, look, today, the internet is weird, right? I mean, my background disappeared because the internet is weird.
We couldn't do our normal 4th hour on TCF today because of the fact that half the internet was down and I couldn't access the materials that I needed.
So the zombie apocalypse will occur if someone decides to do a denial of service attack on Neuralink, right? So we're all going to just, or we'll be all programmed just to, destroy somebody or become this group of robots, basically, like biological robots, essentially.
Well, that's a very good point. I mean, we basically become iPhones at that point. And what happens when AWS or Verizon goes down and all of a sudden we go into emergency mode?
Yeah.
And all we can do is dial 911.
Yeah. Help me. System inoperable.
Stop.
So that's what I worry about. So I don't know. This was what I guess, again, I wanted to, I wasn't going to sit here and artificially gin up controversy, Dan, because I really mostly agree. Like I said, there are good case uses here, but they just don't, they don't outdo what's best for society as a whole. And not to use the old greater good and all that argument, but that's what this really is I don't think the greater good is served by some fringe cases. And that's somebody that's sitting here with a visual disability, which this who knows if this could actually help with that. I don't know if it could or not. Probably not, but maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but
if it could fix your vision, would you want it? Or are you happy with who you are?
Could we have a third option or because I would love to wake up tomorrow and have a perfect vision. I'd love it. It'd be a game changer. But I think in this case, the price might be too high. If I was just being selfish, I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, bring it on. Hook me up, doc. Let's put it in. Give me computer brain. But the price to the rest of humanity might be too high. And, again, it's one thing if they're, for certain kinds of eye conditions now, they are doing this certain kind of stem cell and combination of these platelets and all this other stuff that they literally inject right into your eye, and it goes about repairing nerve clusters and in some cases restores vision for some people that have like Leber's amaurosis or certain other kinds of conditions, maybe even, well, not mine, but certain eye conditions. That doesn't change society. That helps. This may help some, but the ramifications long term are too great, in my view.
I would also put this out there. So you say it might help individuals, and I would agree with that. But I think you also have to ask the question, it would help individuals, but at what cost to them? Because here's what I would argue. In the time that I have known you, I personally believe that a lot of who you are has developed because of the obstacles that you have faced. Now, you can tell me that I'm wrong, but that's what I think. And what happens to you if overnight that obstacle is removed? Does it change you into somebody that people don't recognize anymore? Does it change you into somebody that you don't recognize anymore? That's a serious question that I don't think a lot of people think about.
On a surface level, Dan, I on a very surface level, I'd say, I don't care, bring it on. But if you dig deeper into it, I can tell you everything in my life would be different if I had full sight. I don't know if you and I would have ever met. I don't know if I would have ever met Michelle. I don't know if I would have ever met most of my friends, what would my relationship with my family had been like? What kind of person would I be? Would I have found myself, in trouble, legal trouble? Would I have been a good athlete? Who knows? I have no idea. So we're shaped by the experiences that we have.
Yes.
There's lots of independence that I would definitely have had if I, had eyesight that I could drive and all that sort of stuff. But what else would I lose? There's an argument to be had. The other part of this, Dan, is, nothing is free. Neuralink, and I know it would cost money, but it's not just the money that it would cost you. You are under somebody else's control no matter what. You can buy Windows, but Microsoft, if somebody really wanted to, they could screw over your Windows, especially because, these updates, they could do whatever they want. They could take down your operating system, iOS, all that stuff. It can be taken down. Elon Musk or somebody else gets a wild hair up their ass that they're mad at. They could just throw a switch and shut stuff down. I mean, that's the problem when you put all your eggs in one basket. And I think we're seeing that with the way the internet is now and the way we're so connected to everything. I mean, we are all one cyber attack away from disaster.
Yes.
And if you have Neuralink, and maybe I'm ignorant on it, but I could see that being a potential EMP from disaster.
Well, yeah, I mean, we already know that it's possible to hack into people with like pacemakers and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they call in. There's a point where those can be hacked and somebody can be killed. So this is just that on steroids at the end of the day. And kind of like you were saying before too, I wanted to bring up when you talk about how would you have met me? Would you be doing what you do? All these kind of things, that kind of feeds back to, and I know I've said this before, that your life is a tapestry. And when you start pulling at the threads, the whole thing unravels. And I would worry about this kind of technology just doing that very thing. It starts to pull at the threads of who you are, of how your life is developed, and then you fall apart. I think the only way this would work and like be universally accepted would probably be if it was implanted at birth. And that would be the last thing in the world I would want.
That's scary.
That's a whole other set of messed up right there.
That's now before we started the show, a little background. We were talking a little bit of Aldous Huxley and George Orwell and Rod Serling all getting together and creating kind of the society that we're sort of seemingly heading toward. Boy, that would really push down on the accelerator for that, wouldn't it?
It really would, yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful baby boy. Beep, beep. I am a boy. Like, just throw a switch.
Oh, the olden days when all they used to do was cut off foreskin. Now they're, shoving computer chips in your brain too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, our 20 minutes is almost
up. What if it's defective?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And how often do they have to replace stuff? I mean, computers. I mean, one of the computers I have here in Studio B, I've had for about 9 years, and the other one is not even a year. After a while, stuff starts to wear down. I got a fan making a bunch of noise in this one over here. I mean, what's the life expectancy on this?
That's fair. Well, I guess to wrap it up, my position on it is hell no, 100% no, just based on the price of computer components alone.
And I'm 99% no.
99%. Okay.
Yeah.
Topic 1 in the books.
All right.
Nice.
Good discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't go completely off the rails. I think you guys only brought up porn 3 times, so it's not too bad.
That's light for us.
Yeah. You should be here for other pre-shows.
I know. What's wrong with us? All right.
Are you ready for topic 2?
Yeah, let's do this.
Yes.
Okay. Has convenience quietly replaced competence in modern society? And where, if anywhere, has that trade actually helped us?
Convenience versus, what'd you say, competence or confidence?
Has convenience quietly replaced competence in modern society? And where, if anywhere, has that trade actually helped us?
All right. What do you think, Michael?
Well, all right. Well, hell yes to convenience has replaced competence in many areas. Boy, oh boy. We only have 20 minutes. My God. Look, the Cliff's Notes version is customer service. Now, look, there's still some great customer service out there. There's still some great companies that do great things. This is called broadcasting. I'm going to paint with a broad brush. But, boy, oh boy, like, customer service is absolute garbage in many areas now because we have decided to go for convenience. We have decided to outsource. We've decided that there has to be clocks put on customer service reps, like how long they can spend with each individual customer, and it has to be exactly. And if you don't, that you're in danger of being fired. Oh, and by the way, we're only going to pay you 72 cents. So, it's this thing where we have tried to bean count and micromanage everything down to where it is the most optimally efficient for business. And maybe even it gives the customer more convenience on this end. But then when there's a problem, when something breaks down, well, you're just kind of SOL. And I mean, I think that's kind of the very, very, very abbreviated version of how things have dwindled in that sense. You go to hotels now. ever since COVID, what do they tell you when you go to check in at a hotel? Well, just so you know, we're short staffed. So if you need like clean towels and stuff, you'll have to come down and get them. We only do house cleaning and housekeeping services after you check out. So basically your room is good today, but if you're here for 5 days, you're just going to have to clean it yourself. You're going to have to get your own towels, get your own stuff. You're pretty much on your own. Why? I mean, I think part of it, you can say short staffed and everything I just mentioned, but I think there's a lot of it they kind of went, well, maybe we don't need all these extra people to work all this extra time. And, we can save ourselves $50. And that's where I think we've really gone with this. So I don't know. That's just a very abbreviated look at how society has changed in that regard.
All right. So one thing real quick, because you were talking about the hotels, and it reminded me, I saw this the other day. More and more hotels are going to self-check-in now. They don't even have a...
And there's that too. I was going to mention that, but yeah.
But what you've just described for me, Mike, it isn't convenience at all. It is inconvenience bred by incompetence. So really, I think we're talking about the exact opposite of what was presented to us by Beth. Because there is nothing convenient about checking into a hotel, for example, and having to go grab your own towels and clean your own room and all of that kind of stuff that you used to, pay to have done. That was part of the experience. There's nothing convenient about having to order your food on a kiosk because they don't want a staff to take your order. There's nothing convenient about any of those such things. And in my mind, it is bred by incompetence, the incompetence of leadership, the incompetence of corporations. And that's coming from a guy who considers himself a capitalist. We don't practice it the right way anymore. So yeah, I think there's nothing convenient about what you talked about. Now, but if we want to flip it to that discussion, I think that our first discussion about Neuralink, which kind of went into a little bit of AI and stuff, I think that is an example of where convenience is breeding incompetence. We're trading convenience for competence because we can go run to Chat GPT now. And I think we talked about this the other day, and we can give it some complex word problem for math. And it used to be that even if you used a calculator, you still had to understand the methodology. Well, now you just give it to it and it'll do the work for you and spit it out, which is super convenient, but it doesn't help your competency. It doesn't help you build skills. So
it breeds a dumber society, I think, ultimately too. And I know when we were kids, they said the same thing about the calculator. And we talked about this the other day too. Like, and there's something to be said that if you do all of your math on a calculator and you don't learn multiplication tables and you can't just kind of do a little basic math in your head, it's weird because watching people try to count out change at the grocery store if the cash register doesn't work, somebody that's under like 25, it is an exercise in futility. Yes. It is remarkable, the lack of basic math skills. So yes, we have definitely traded convenience for competence there. I guess my example at the start of this wasn't the greatest because it is fueled by incompetence, or it's fueled by bean counting and efficiency, which to me is just another fancy way of saying incompetence. It's saying I don't want to put the effort in, so I'm just going to cut and let people just do their own thing. And if they complain about it, what are they going to do about it?
No, I think it was the perfect example that you gave to start with, Michael, because it kind of brought us in kind of the back way into the discussion, but I think it works because part of competence is being inconvenient, having to put in the work. It's to go to the exercise analogy. You don't build muscle unless you're actually putting in time in the gym. And the same thing goes with our brain. The same thing goes with our skill set out in the world, the things that we bring to the world, everything else. If you're not constantly exercising those quote unquote muscles, then you're not building any kind of competence whatsoever. And it frightens me that we're building a world more and more where the convenience of the tools that allow us to skip all of these things are becoming more and more powerful.
Yes.
Because it's gonna, I've been going to this reference a lot, and it's probably because we watched it a few weeks ago with Eli, because he'd never seen it before. But I keep going to Idiocracy in my mind, where you end up with a society of absolute idiots who all they know is that Brondo has electrolytes, and they're so stupid that they throw it on the plants and kill off everything, so they're all starving. And that's incompetence bred by the convenience of not having to do anything.
Right.
I don't know. Humans have to put in the work.
Right. And I think there's certain areas where convenience is great. I mean, look, the microwave is fantastic. The Keurig machine is great. There's lots of inventions that we have that I think are fantastic in a lot of ways. They may have misapplications and people may use them for bad things or whatever. But I mean, telephones replacing telegram or teletype or telegraph. The internet as a whole has done a lot of great things for us. But at the same time, there's an argument to be made that having all the information at your fingertips, while wonderful, has not necessarily made for a smarter society. It has made for a well-actually society, because you'll say something and then someone will just go, all right. Well, actually, what this means, and they just run to the good, but they don't even know. And it's not really a learning experience. It's more of a well, actually. And I think there was a time where we went to the library, we looked at books. Again, maybe this is curmudgeon talk, but I don't know. There's a certain trade-off. I think there's certain times where convenience is great, and I think it's better for society as a whole. But man, there gets to a point where people just rely on it too much. They rely on the conveniences too much, and it makes us ultimately weaker should something happen to that convenience.
Yeah. I think it depends on the convenience that we're talking about, because like you brought up the microwave or the Keurig. Okay. Those make sense because they make prepping some stuff a little easier, but you still have to put in the work to prep it, as opposed to the convenience of, let's say, DoorDash. Is that necessarily benefiting us? Probably not, because there are people out there, I've seen them, where they're like door dashing every day. First off, you're destroying your finances doing it, because it's way too expensive. I don't care
and
who
your
you
gut.
are. And you're destroying your health. But you're not building up the skills to even be able to marginally cook something, which, you've got to have those skills, because we talked, I think, earlier about the whole EMP, that got mentioned in the previous discussion.
Yes.
Well, what happens if we have the EMP and all of a sudden you can't DoorDash anymore? You got to be able to make yourself some food, or you're going to die. But it's the basics, the basic skill set of the simple things. Being able to take care of yourself is being stripped away from people. And how many people do we encounter? And we know people who they have no clue how to cook.
Well, during COVID, real quick, if everybody knows what HelloFresh is, it's a delivery service, but they actually give you the ingredients and you follow the instructions to prep the food. But I actually saw not one, but multiple different people during COVID streaming HelloFresh and struggling with it. And they give pictures too. So it's not just like words, there's actual pictures to follow. And people were even struggling with that and posting it on YouTube.
Well, that's at least a convenience, I suppose, that was trying to build a competence, at least.
Yeah, I can at least see that. And look,
But
the guy that's
struggle is
not
real.
as a person that's not the greatest cook in the world, I can still make some stuff. You know, like we buy like bratwurst from Costco, and you know, making those, I make them just in the oven. You know, and everybody, there's multiple ways to cook stuff. I don't necessarily, you know, fry stuff. I'm not big into frying things for the most part, every once in a while, but you know, but it's still a basic skill that I have. I'm not great at it, but it's better than nothing. Door dashing, you know, I just think it's one of those things. You don't even walk. All you do is walk to the door and then sit back down on the couch and expand your ever widening can. Like, I don't think that's one of those things. I don't know if we're trading it for competence as much as we're trading it for health. And that's the other thing. This topic can be expanded out to, are we not only trading it for competence, are we trading convenience for our health? You know, I've been looking at getting a bike, an e-bike, and I was test driving these things. And if you think that it's not exercise for an e-bike, it is, because there's a lot of balance involved. I haven't been on a bike in 35 years. And, you know, to balance is, you know, you don't forget how to ride, but you might not be the same. You know, I don't look the same as I was when I was 13 or 14. I'm a good 160 pounds or so heavier and a few inches taller and a lot more awkward. And so it's one of those things I can't wait to, you know, kind of have a bike and ride around, because I'll build up some better balance and some better, you know, a little bit of core. And I don't know. I think that's one of those things that, you know, a little exercise won't kill you to go and walk down. If you're going to go and have Culver's, just walk to Culver's, or at the very least, walk to your car, drive, get up, go in. I don't know. Do something. Don't just take the 20 steps to your door. I don't know. I think this is one of those topics that could be really broadened and just to say, we've traded convenience for a lot of things.
Well, I think you can argue honestly, though, that the health end of things does affect your competence, because if you're not giving your brain good fuel, if you're not taking care of your body, you're not setting yourself up to build that intellectual muscle to be competent in different fields. You're just not. You know, it's a garbage in, garbage out scenario, and it definitely applies to the human body. You know, I will tell you, as somebody who's like constantly working, that I've found that the better I eat, and for me it tends to be a little more protein heavy, and there's different supplements and stuff I take. If I stray from that, if too often I go, you know what, I just feel like having soda today, and like load up on sugar, or I go the junk food route instead of having a good dinner, or I skip my supplements, I feel just lethargic. I'm not firing on all cylinders, and that would affect your ability to not only have competence in the moment, but to continue to build your competence higher and higher with whatever it is that you're dealing with throughout the day.
Yeah, soda's terrible.
I love it, but it's terrible.
Thank you for the demonstration there, Michael.
Actually, in all fairness, it's Coke Zero, but yeah.
Which is worse.
Yeah.
That's Coke with chemicals, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, look, man, it's convenient. Plus, by the way, if I drink city water, I mean, I'm drinking chemicals there too. I might as well just drink something I enjoy rather than, you know, drinking like lead that's disguised as water. You know, I mean, I don't mind, you know, it's cool that I drink enough city water and I'm no longer affected by kryptonite, but Jesus, I don't know. I'd much rather just have my Coke Zero.
I don't know.
You
The thing
know.
I don't like about the water around here is that after you drink it, you've got to pick the pebbles out of your teeth.
Among other areas.
Yes.
Oh, yes, awful. It's yeah. I don't know.
But-
yeah, calcium
but
and all that.
Every shower is a built-in like micro scrub though.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Keeps us
In case
fully-
you were wondering, Arizona, to say Arizona water is a little bit hard. It's kind of like a towel with a thread count of like 5. It's like cactus. It's like we have cactus coming out of the faucet. It is just, it is awful. But if you spend like $5,000 on one of those water softeners, then you're good.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this as a Christian man, but I think the Bible got it wrong. The cast of characters was not over in the Middle East. They were here in Arizona. When Jesus walked on water, it was real. But the stuff's just so hard. Everybody was doing it.
Yes. Well, that's something to be said for it. It's like, I didn't know you could have ice water at 90 degrees. Yeah, sure enough. It's something. No, I again, you talk, man, even bottled water is the convenience. And look what, and again, not to get all environmentally preachy, but how much plastic do we use to have bottled water, which when we were kids, the concept of bottled water outside of maybe prepping for a hurricane or a major winter storm was laughable. Like if you would have said in 1982, oh yeah, go out on a bike ride and bring my bottle of water with me. Like what? My Dasani, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So
even in the 90s.
Yeah, even in the 90s. Yeah, for sure. It's that's the other aspect of this too is, convenience has also probably made for a less, not only a less healthy human, but a less healthy planet.
Well, yeah. Which ocean has Plastic Island? Is it the Pacific?
Pacific, yeah. Garbage Island. It's just all this micro plastic that's just out there. That's just collated and just coalesced into this blob of gross.
Well, and that blob of gross is inside every one of us now too. We are teeming with microplastics because of convenience. Let's put all our stuff in plastic. Let's make it real easy. Fully prepared for us. Just pop it in the microwave, which we agree we like, but maybe not for that. And yeah. So right. I guess my end thought on this one is convenience not always good. You need to build muscle memory.
Convenience good, some not so much other. Yeah.
And there you go.
Yes.
All right. Lightning round time?
Yeah, you have to explain it.
I know.
Okay.
All right. So here's how this is going to go. So producer Beth has a whole bunch of topics for us. I don't know if they're topics. They could 5. She has 5 for us. She just held up her hand. Since she had that 6th finger removed, it's so much easier to understand what she means now. When she broke her leg, I was like, well, you're in there. Can you get rid of that extra finger? And they did it. So it was really cool. No charge. Anyways, so she's going to give us like an event or a thing or a piece of history or something. And Michael and I have to debate and figure out whether or not this is a real thing or if she's lying to us. And
yes, true or false.
Yeah. We're doing it in the true or false format?
Yeah.
Okay. So a true or false. So let me start the clock because we have 3 minutes and part of that is her talking to us about what this is. So go.
The U.S. military tested camouflage patterns based on fractals rather than traditional shapes.
Absolutely, they did.
I believe
I have no question about that whatsoever because they've already messed with their camouflage. Their camouflage used to be like leaves and like flowing kind of stuff, and now it's this like digital print BS. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. especially as they want to perhaps look more modern, look more techie or spacier. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they did that for like Space Force. Space Force had fractal uniforms.
And not only not only do I think that's true, I'm guessing it's probably one of those things they spent like $1 quadrillion on it. Just an amount of money that doesn't even exist to do that. Yeah, and they're probably going to change it again in 10 or 20 years or whatever. It'll be a military fashion show. But no, I totally believe it because the military is constantly adapting things and researching this. And does it really matter if you're in a war and you look like you were digitally printed versus somebody with the old BDUs from the 70s? I don't know. It didn't really work out so well in Vietnam, so I don't know how well any of that really matters. But I guess their research says it does. So no, I believe it. Seems very believable to me.
My only question is, did they channel a certain leader back in the day and contract with Hugo Boss to make it?
Funny.
It's a legit question. That'd be hilarious.
Levi's 501 camouflage. Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, I want to know who's got that.
Calvin Klein. Like who designed this? And the military does this sort of stuff. This is believable.
Modern sensibilities, and everybody's got to be special. So it's gonna be a higher end brand. What's a higher end clothing brand, Beth? Burberry. Yeah. Sounds like something contract with them. And then, because that's what they do, when you have extras of that uniform, they'll just be like burned and destroyed rather than put out there because they have to protect their value.
They'll probably have a special fragrance with it, some Chanel and.
So yeah, I'm true. Sounds like Mike is true.
It is true. Fractal-based camouflage was researched and tested because it mimics natural patterns and disrupts visual recognition better than uniform shapes.
Yay, we got it right.
We got it. One for one.
Okay.
Ready for number 2?
Yes.
Tell me.
I'm not ready.
Okay.
Got to reset the timer.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm ready. Go.
Right. Oh, all right.
Medieval European courts formally tried and sentenced animals for crimes.
Yes. I seem to remember a story that I read about like the sentencing of a cow or a horse or a pig, something like that, for like maiming and murdering a human, and I think it was a pig, and it had to be executed. I think that's real. And honestly, it doesn't differ that much from what we see in the courts that we watch every day on our other channel. We see some interesting creatures there getting, some serious sentences.
A lot of pigs there. What would that kind of a court look like? All right, Fido, this is in Jefferson County. This indictment alleges on the 29th of June, you bit the mailman, a 3rd-degree felony. Like, I want to say it can't be true, but at the same time, I don't see a way that it's. I kind of believe it because medieval court, especially, I'm gonna have to say that I think it's true as well. I can totally see that.
Wasn't there? Didn't the animals try one of the other animals in Animal Farm? Seems like there was some kind of court or conviction or something.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've read that.
4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
2 legs better. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally buy it, because again, I seem to remember a story about, and I think it was a pig that had like attacked a human, and they tried and convicted the pig and executed it, and then had a really good barbecue.
Why they wouldn't just kill it?
Game of Thrones.
I don't. Yeah. I
It does sound
like
very
to
like Earth-loving tree hugger to give it a trial first, doesn't it? As opposed to just putting a bullet in it.
It really, it kind of does. That doesn't jive well with how society was back then, because we're like, oh, I think we actually orbit the sun. Heathen! I just can't, it's hard to imagine, but at the same time, maybe we were. So I'm going to reluctantly say, yeah, I think this is actually something that happened.
I guess my only question is, did the animal get executed because it had knowledge that they didn't want let out, like the fact that the Earth orbited the sun?
The animals were probably smarter than people back then.
All right, we're both true.
True.
Yes.
There were legal proceedings with judges, charges, verdicts, and punishments recorded in court documents.
Did you hear that,
I have
Ellie?
a question.
Nobody is safe.
Uh-oh. What's your question?
Did they have lawyers for the animals?
I don't know. My source just talked about judges and the actual court proceeding. I'm not sure. I'd have to dig further into medieval law.
I think TCF needs a spinoff now. It would
Yes.
probably, it'd get so many clicks if we had TCF Animal Court.
And as you talked about that, I was leaning down during that because Freya was like, she came in here to rub up on me during that topic. It was like she knew this was coming. So maybe Beth consulted with Freya. I don't know.
Ellie's hiding. She doesn't want to accept it. All right, next one.
Are you ready?
Ready, Michael?
Yes.
Go.
Sound frequencies below conscious hearing can measurably influence human mood or focus.
Below conscious hearing?
Yes, below conscious hearing.
But not above. So not like that dog whistle.
No.
But below.
Below.
And it affects what?
It can measurably influence human mood or focus.
Well, yeah, because they use sonic weapons. There was very good evidence that that's actually what was used in Venezuela when they got Maduro, because the guards there were reporting bleeding from their ears and their eyes. And the going theory is that it was a sonic weapon.
What I think there was like the Havana incident or something like that. Also, I was reading, Havana syndrome. I was reading about that, and that's low. I think that's low frequency. If I'm not mistaken, that was low frequency radio waves that they believe were used to create that. So, and as a sound guy, I know that just because our ears don't perceive it, our bodies can absolutely feel it and be impacted by both high energy, high frequencies, of course, because when you get up high enough, you start getting up toward microwaves and we can be hooked that way. But even low amplitude and, that can certainly impact people as well. So that's one that I buy into as well. Because I think I've actually read quite a bit about that over the years. Now, some of it is still theoretical, but there's certainly enough empirical evidence to suggest that it does.
Well, they use sound waves to break up kidney stones. My dad had it done.
Right.
He had kidney stones like I do, but it's so painful that they have to put you under a general anesthetic or you'll be writhing in pain and pass out.
Yeah.
Because it's
and for
so
tendinitis, I was reading that they used sound waves as well. Now, again, I can't remember if it's higher or lower amplitude, but I know that they use it because I was watching that, and they have even talked about that with me at some point down the road with the tendinitis. So, again, I know that we certainly can use those to both help and heal, or to both help and harm. So,
well, different frequencies of light can affect you. So
yes.
I buy into it. My only hesitation is if it's the lower frequency versus the higher frequency.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there might be a trick in there. And
higher absolutely can.
Ones. Yeah. And the low, maybe not, but I'm still going to go with true.
Same here. I will say true.
It is true.
Yay.
Infrasound and subaudible frequencies have been shown to affect anxiety, unease, and physiological responses without conscious awareness.
There you go.
Yeah.
This
We're
is
3
what you've
for
been
3,
doing to
Dan.
me all these years.
Mhm.
Okay. It's also clear now. All right. 3 for 3. Shall we do number 4?
Yeah. Are
Ready,
you ready?
Mike?
I am.
Go.
There was a time when public clocks were considered a threat to social order.
Ooh. So, do you know about knockers, Mike?
No. I
So
mean,
this was an
yeah,
this was
I
an
know about
actual
knock- oh, wait.
that but different. We all know about those, but this was an actual job. You actually would go around the town at a certain time in the morning with a big pole, and you would knock on people's windows to wake them up. It was like the town
Okay.
alarm clock. They were called knockers, and that's what they would
Huh.
do. So what's the question again? It's because now I've lost it.
Okay. The question is, well, it's a statement. There was a time when public clocks were considered a threat to social order.
All right. Yeah, that's why I brought up the idea of the knockers, because they were trying to keep a social order by making sure people got up when they needed to, so they would get on about their day and everything else. So I would have to go false there, because I think as a society, just as people, we're driven by time. That's the construct that we all live in. So the idea of something that would measure it, I don't think that
Dan,
would be viewed as a threat to social order.
I have to tell you though, I look, I just joked about, we would, well, it wasn't a joke. I mean, we really did cast people, hang people and stuff for believing in, that the earth actually rotated around the sun instead of the earth being the center of the universe. There's probably a point where we came up with this concept of time where people were like, that is blasphemy, I tells you, and it probably wasn't the 50s where people talked like that, but there was, well, maybe but there definitely, I think there was a time where we probably were like that. It would not surprise me.
See, I think there's a time that people want now where that's the thing, because there
Well, yeah.
no, seriously, there's a group of people that have the idea of like showing up on time and being punctual and keeping to a clock and stuff. That's like a racist thing in some people's minds. Not to go political, but it's actually been brought up that way.
No, there's cultures that believe that.
Yeah, it almost strikes me as more of a modern sensibility than one in the past. So personally, I'm going to say that statement is false. I don't think that was a thing. You, Michael?
I'm going to say it's true.
All right, we're differing now.
Yes.
It's true.
Oh,
Public clocks disrupted traditional labor rhythms, religious timekeeping, and social control. It's all about the control. And they were actively resisted in many parts of Europe.
Okay.
Wow.
The religious angle is interesting to me. I hadn't thought about that.
Well, think about labor too. If somebody's
that's why I went to the Earth orbiting the sun deal, because that was a religious thing too. A lot of people said that it violated, because God put us at the center of the universe, and so that's why I was able to buy into that.
Interesting. All right, you win, I lose. Last one.
Last one.
All right, ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Long-term reliance on convenience technologies has caused measurable declines in certain human skills or competencies.
So that ties into what we were just talking about.
A little bit.
Hell yes. 100% true.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a more true statement made in the history of statements. I mean, to me, it's, we just did a whole segment on this, and there's not only anecdotal evidence to suggest this. There's certainly empirical evidence that would suggest that as well. What America has more convenience than anybody or than most, and we're a bunch of unhealthy slobs. Now, maybe the two aren't directly linked entirely, but I think there is definitely some link between those. Again, we've traded convenience for health. And that's not a good trade. And so that's why, to me, this is a slam dunk yes. This is a bigger yes than all the others. Like, wow.
Yeah, is there a super true option here?
There is not a super true option.
No, I don't see how that statement could be false, because we see it all the time. It's like when we talked I believe it was in a pre-show for TCF, where we talked about the idea of the enshittification of things. Which, is a crazy term that originated in tech. Actually, it had to do with apps that were getting like dumbed down and becoming like subscriber based and all that, but it applies to all of society now. But if you look at the enshittification of everything, and how stuff in the name of getting better is just getting worse and worse, and people are getting dumber and dumber. I don't think we need the full 3 minutes for this one, Michael. I think this is super true.
This is super true. It really is.
All right.
True. Research shows declines in navigation, memory recall, handwriting. That's a big one. Mental arithmetic, which you mentioned earlier, Michael.
Yeah.
Spatial reasoning linked to technological offloading. So, yeah, pretty much since we're all in the same age bracket, everything that we learned in school is now being offloaded to computers, and the upcoming generations are missing it all.
The navigation thing is interesting, because I'd read something a few weeks back about how the majority of like Gen Z, they can't get around without navigation now. That it like doesn't recognize in their brain the patterns how to get from A to B anymore. They have to have it turned on. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're relying on GPS.
It is. So. And if you think that's bad, try to read a note that one of these kids writes.
Well, I got to say that's the same thing for me. I'm looking at my notepad right here, and I can't read any of it. But
I saw a T-shirt the other day. It was obviously satirical, but it said, "I can read ancient handwriting," and it was just written in cursive, because they don't teach cursive anymore.
Oh, what are we coming to?
Maybe that's a controversial topic, but I don't. Who cares about cursive? I mean, that's one thing we don't necessarily need to teach. We could just teach printing. I mean, do we have to do cursive? Like, why?
Well, nobody teaches it anymore. But it's funny that it's called ancient handwriting.
I know.
But the thing is, a lot of historical documents are written in cursive. So if we
it's true. I get it.
Offload everything onto computers or AI, who's going to be left that's actually going to be able to read what those things say?
Well, the AI. Will translate it into a politically correct version that we can all appreciate.
My idea was, though, like, if there was an EMP or something happened to the computers, then the humans that are left couldn't.
I can't make heads or tails of this Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Sweetheart, we're to the point where if there's an EMP, we're all screwed anyways.
Yeah, we're boned.
A great percentage of the population will die just from the lack of meds alone.
That's true.
But anyways, on that bright note,
phones.
Michael, this was fun.
Yes, it was fun.
I think we should move from an episode 0 to an episode 1.
Yes.
All right.
I'm all for it.
This is episode 0. If you're out there and you have watched this, you need to help us out. You need to hit that like button. You need to smash it hard. You need to share the show with everybody you've ever met. You need to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell, because Michael and I really want to keep doing this and turn it into something special, because I don't know of many, if any, other shows out there that literally go into it in the blind like we just did and have a
Yes.
competent discussion. I'm just saying.
And we will have a pinned notification or a pinned comment with all of the reference links.
Outstanding.
So
we even give
Wow.
people something to learn from.
yes.
Yes.
This is what we deliver here at ITB.
Wow. Learning.
All right.
Scary.
Shall we call it a night, Mikey?
I know.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
This has been
Ladies
awesome.
and gentlemen, this has been fun. So we will be starting this show live February 2nd, and we decided that it was 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, which made it 5 Arizona time, right, Mikey?
That's correct.
Okay. So yeah. So
Time
7 p.m.
zones.
Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, every Monday and Wednesday, starting February 2nd. So be sure to join us for that. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.